Wow. Okay, so not World War II. Played Here Come the Rebels, South Mountain. It's the first basic scenario for this game. This is from the GCACW, or Great Campaigns of the American Civil War. It's put out by, this one is actually the original Avalon Hill Game Company. I use these rules primarily, just because I had them, and I was like, I don't know, I didn't want to print a bunch of stuff off, and I don't read rules very well on my phone as a way of playing the game, so I'll just stick with this. And then at the same time, Jeff from Hex to Hex, he had the same game set up at his home, and we just got on Facebook Messenger and had our cameras down on the boards, and we didn't play against each other. And sometimes when we play solo, we just kind of do our own moves, but just keep each other accountable for what we're doing. This time, I was going to start that way, and then I just stopped and we just worked together and did all the same moves, so that we could because that way our situations would be the same. Anyway. So he used the 1.3 rules, and we both want to download the 1.4s. And he's played several games of this. I mean, I don't know how many, and he's played other people, so he's had other perspectives too. It was a great time. I mean, this is a super simple scenario. I'm sure there's I know there's a lot of depth. First of all, the basic rules cover you can do a lot with. I mean, I'm just stumbling here because I was just amazed at how fun I had. So I'd been kind of looking at this rule set. It's not World War II. I've tried other Civil War games. I'm just like, I don't know. I just never quite get into them. And there's some great games like All the Revolution. I think Lutman puts them out. I think he's the one that designs them. Just that great blind sword system. It's really cool. Of course, the maps are great, Barber maps, but these maps are pretty cool too. But I just couldn't get into it. I think, and this is partially the era, and I just really think if I'm spending my time doing this, I'd rather just play World War II and just learn more about that, So anyway, I'm not even going to get even close to trying to explain how this is played, and I'm kind of focusing this conversation to people who watch my channel for World War II stuff and play minis and stuff. And it's just going to be a quick rehash of what happened in the game and just some cool points about it. So let's go take a look at the board. Yeah, these are divisions here. You've got your core leaders, like Reno, Hooker, and then the name of the general is D.H. Hill, Hood, some of which I know. I don't know the history that well. I mean, I'm kind of familiar. Some of these names are familiar. This is Virginia, Maryland, Virginia, Washington County, Maryland, Carroll County. Jeff lives in this area, so he knows all the towns and stuff, so that's kind of fun. I don't even know how to explain this. So it's a pretty simple, the first is 16 pages of rules, for the basic game, and we didn't even cover some of the stuff in it because we just couldn't you get to it in the small scenario. This is really to teach you about how to move, just how to do some of the stuff. I'll just sum it up and say it was a Union victory. We took Boonestown in the first, it's one turn game. But we took Boonestown, pretty quickly. The Union got a lot of the initiatives, and they took Boonestown and held it. The fun part of the game was this: they held it for most of the turn, and then Hood came in here. Longstreet had been disrupted and moved to fatigue 4, so he couldn't move anymore. He couldn't do anything else. They were going to do a flank attack on them and for sure get it, and they would have for sure, because Hood came up here and was able to beat him out, knocked him back. They came in. We had one guy left with a fatigue 3, and we thought, well, let's do it. It was Ricketts, and so we did it, and sure enough, he pushed him back, and Hood had to go back to here, and Ricketts took it back over, solidifying the game, because after all the losses we did, and we think we did a couple of them wrong, so the Union had 9 points, but I think they had probably 10 or 11. But regardless, they would have. So let's say it was 11, it's -7 if they had lost Boonestown from that last battle. So 4, it would have been a 4 would have been a Union marginal victory. Okay, so they still would have got a marginal victory, but instead they got a decisive victory. Jeff said he hadn't won as a Union, but we were just super hyper aggressive about sweeping around quickly, which we didn't think about. We left it open here. That's what this guy's doing over here. We swept these guys that start here. I don't know all the units. I'm not going to go over that right now. And that lone cavalry came over here to block Hooker from going. And then I realized as we realized as we were playing, we're like, wait a minute, they don't have to go there. They just went around them. And they kept getting the initiative, so they were able to do that. It's the initiative thing. So what happens every time if you don't know the game? So let's say the Union starts with initiative. So our guys here did their first move. Once that's done, when you've done your thing with the units, you both sides roll initiative. So you both roll initiative again. Union won. So I think the Union had 3 or 4 turns in a row. That could be frustrating. It works the other way. But the problem with that is, and we just kept moving the same units. Well, they soon reached fatigue 4, which means they can't do anything. So you could really only do stuff 4 times in a row, and then you're pretty much done. You can defend, you can do some stuff, but for the most part, you're done for that turn. And so really a turn really is made up of 4 turns per unit. So it's a lot. So it took us a long time to play this. Now it was learning too for me and him, relearning and just kind of remembering stuff. But so anyway, the fun thing, when we were like almost yelling at screaming about that, going back and forth and changing Boonstown, changing hands, and like, oh, we got one other guy, so let's do this. And Rodman here, we pretty much beat up, and you can take fatigue if you drive your guys too hard, and so they lost a unit, and then they lost another manpower. I'm going to go over some of the stuff when I calm down a little bit, because it's pretty cool how they model some stuff here, and a lot of people like this game, a lot of people love it, and I see why. There's so much to think about. I mean, 16 pages rules, pretty straightforward. There's a lot of modifiers. It's a little bit older school. It's from the 80s, as you can tell. But there's lots of charts and stuff. Whoa, let me zoom out here. But and there's more that aren't on here. But I don't know. It didn't feel like I was reading charts though. It just felt like it was reminders, and it was neat things that added Chrome, but you didn't have to remember a bunch of rules. So I don't know. I had a blast doing it. I think playing a longer game will be challenging with more units, because, like I said, each thing gets to activate 4 times, essentially. Not necessarily, but they could, And so that's, there's 20 units, that's 80 80 things going on. That's a lot. And just how they interplay with each other, and when you move and do stuff. And that's not even including later on if you learn the advanced rules with supply and burning depots and building bridges and emplacements and all that stuff. I don't know. I can see why people like this system a lot. It represented what I read about Civil War, and it's just chaotic. The guys, they might do what you want. The leaders may not really respect you, so they don't do what you want. I don't know. It's great. I don't know. I think I've gushed enough here. I will probably, after I come back tomorrow, we just played this today on a Sunday, I'll probably come back to another day and kind of rehash or kind of go over some of the things that really stood out to me that I think are cool mechanics. I might just make that a separate video. Anyway, Union victory. The core group, Hooker and all these guys. No, it wasn't Hooker. There's Hookers. Can't remember who it was. Reno sent his group around here, took Boonstown, and Zappo, pushed these guys back, so they were able to reinforce that. That was worth 7-4, and then the losses kept it up, and they were able to keep a 9 victory, which was cool. And Longstreet came from up here and had the right plan. It's just that initiative. So that initiative turns a different way. It could change it. So I don't know. Good stuff. So GCACW, do I need to get more? I don't know. My gaming budget's super tight right now, so there's no getting. I've been selling a bunch, which just feels really good, frankly. And that's that. All right, we'll come back another time and kind of go over some of the mechanics that I really enjoyed. All right, we'll see you. Roll those dice, air out those robes, and have fun. See ya.